not be absolutely just not working all the time. So, restarted, rebooted. Let's see if that fixed the problem. Okay. This. I'm going to assume that that fixed it. We shall see. Hopefully. I hope that everything worked. I'm going to continue stringing. I need to continue stringing. Don't you just love technical difficulties? That'd be pretty... That would have been pretty stupid if I had just kept live streaming, but my video wasn't working at all. It was just me stuck in some random position or place. That would have been awful. Alright. But it looks like it's back up. It's been going for about a minute or so. Hopefully that brings some people back. I know it was an abrupt end, but hopefully it comes back. I'ma still be here though. I'm still gonna be stringing regardless. Alright, cool. Bruh. Why does it keep doing that? Cool. So, hello to all those jumping back in. I hope this is working better. I don't know what was going on my end, but it looked like all of the entire footage had just stopped. So I decided to just cut that live short, well, end it, and then restart this new one, so that way the video is actually working. I hope everything is actually going. It looks like it should be. So we're just going to keep rolling and keep on going with it. So yeah. Ow. Cool. So one bad thing about this machine is that it's a tabletop, and it's old. So it's starting to get a little bit rickety in terms of how it's actually performing. I've thought about getting an electronic machine because I am going to be stringing enough. I foresee in my future, not just currently, but I'm going to be stringing in my future. So I was like, man, I could get the more expensive machine and it would be so nice. It would work so well and be adjustable. I actually have an electronic tensioner, so that way, darn, my scissors fell. But that way, everything would just work out very easily. My tension would be even more consistent on my own rackets. And then I look at the price, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I need to do that right now, especially if I ever plan to move from where I currently am at. Then it's just kind of like lugging that giant machine around would be, in my opinion, terrible. That sounds like an awful time. Especially, and with how the risk of it getting damaged, I don't know. But I cannot understate, the value of having an electronic machine after using them at my work for the good majority of the time now. So it's just like, The crank machine, tried and true, will always be where I started, but the electronic machines definitely are better machines just in general. So, for all the people that have joined back from the previous one, or if you're new here, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's a Sunday night. I know you could be doing plenty of other things. Let me rephrase it. It's a Sunday night for me, and I know you could be doing plenty of other things, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So, thank you for being here. It means a lot. You're here taking time out of your day, out of your life, to listen to a guy you probably don't know, just talk about random stuff, usually tennis, sometimes other things that's been going on in his life. And just stringing tennis rackets. It's a crazy world we live in. 14. I think we beat out last stream's previous record of most people watching. We're at 14 right now, from if I'm reading that correctly. Yes, my glasses did not fail me. Perfect. So we got 14. I think in the last we maxed out at 13. So that's pretty cool to me. I'm so close. I'm so close to hitting 2,000 subscribers, and I very much appreciate everyone that has subscribed. It means a lot, and I'm just like, man, that's so cool. Especially since I started doing this. Well, started doing YouTube on my own. When was it? It was almost 2 years ago. I got my first 1,000 subscribers last year, about the same time in November. Well, in November, so it's almost the 2-year mark, and it's the 2,000th subscriber milestone. I should hopefully hit it by my birthday, which is coming up here soon. That's the plan. That's the goal. That's the hope. Just because I love seeing the channel grow and knowing that more and more people are tuning in, finding out what's going on with their tennis gear, just seeing what's happening. And with the bigger it gets, the more fun we get to have. So if you have any ideas, any comments or questions, gear you may want me to talk about, ideas about it, let me know down in the comments section, so that way I can start to plan, start to formulate. I have some ideas in the works right now, but it's always great to hear from you. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to try? What do you want me to give an opinion on? What are we thinking? And then if it's within my power to talk about, we'll get it in a racket, or we'll get it and we'll talk about it. CB, I studied all day today for my 2 exams tomorrow, so I've got nothing to do right now. Hey, that's okay. What are your exams in, bruh? I'm just glad that you're here and you're here talking with me. But hey, you got exams. What are you studying? It sounds important if you had 2 of them. Oy. Economy and sociology. Okay. What made you decide to go and study ecology? Oh, economy and sociology. What is the major then? Or is one of those the major, and you just have tests in those classes? I'm curious. Come on, string. Cool. I really like the color that this string is. I'm glad I put it in this racket, because there's some string combos that I see. It's just like those two do not work well together. It's like they may play good, but the colors just don't look that good. I'm like, man, that kind of sucks. But we'll see. Usually you don't need, usually I always say go function over form. But if you have color options, then it's like, and you already know you like the thing, then it's like, okay, you can be a little bit more picky with color. That's one of the big things with people coming into the store that I work at, especially whether it be for rackets or especially the shoes that they wear. People will come in, they'll be like, oh, I want this color of shoe. But it's like, yeah, the color of shoe you want may look cool, but if you actually wear that shoe, based off the conversation we have had together since you've been in the store, that shoe is just going to absolutely crush and destroy your foot. Especially if they're looking at a shoe that is a more narrow fit and they need a wide fitting shoe, and it's just like, you probably shouldn't do that. And I try and explain it as best as I can, but some people are just like, nope, I want the color. And it's like, well, I mean, you can get the color, you're just gonna be in pain. And then you tell them they can't return them if they wear them outside or on court, because that's just the policy that the store has. You can't return the used product. And then, you know, sometimes they come back the next day or a few days later and they're like, these really hurt my feet. I was like, wow, does it now? I wonder why it did that. And I do that in my head because I'm just like, man, I tried warning you. I tried saving you the money, the trip, the hassle. But you still did it. And I'm like, man. Well, let's see if we can find you something that works and is going to be a little bit more helpful. Just because you got to be comfortable when you're playing. You can't just have it do nothing. You can't be getting hurt by your gear. Then you don't want to play. You think the sport's bad. When in reality, it just may not be the gear for you at the time. Which is okay. Everyone is different. Everyone has different needs, preferences. And luckily with tennis, you can pretty much fit and fix all of those. You just have to see what you actually like and what your body prefers or actually needs. And then it's pretty simple. You just have to find your sizes. Or for rackets, well, no, grip size, still find your size. So the comment still stands. Alright. Cool. What? Let's see. CB. I'm doing an administrative major because I like it. It's also because I'm good at school, but not good enough to be an engineer. Bro, why do you talk like that? Why are you saying you can't be an engineer? You can be an engineer. Why, CB? What are you talking about? I'm glad you enjoy what you are doing right now. However, why are you saying you can't be an engineer, bro? You can so do that. Alright. Almost done with this racket. Cool. Got this one. Boom. One more cross, and then it's done. And then I get to play with it on Tuesday. Tuesday has just essentially become my tennis day, not because of the fact that it sounds like it should be just because of Tennis Tuesday or Tuesday tennis. Double T's. But it just so happens that that's just the day that the group of people I play with happens to play tennis on. And I was like, all right, cool. I have some time tonight to make sure that everything is set for me, so that way I can test out these new strings and see and get some initial thoughts, ideas about how they actually play, so that way I can make my reviews. Come on, string. Don't be messing with me right now. We're this close to the finish line with you. Yes, I know. I sound deranged and like a lunatic, but that I'm actually talking to a tennis string while I'm putting it in a tennis racket. But that's just me. That is a little bit of the crazy that you just came for, you kind of signed up for when you clicked on this button to watch me be doing this. But, hey, you're here. And like I said, I appreciate it. Because I am a little bit weird. Everyone is. But I just very much am. And that's okay. Alright, time to tie this off. After I tension it. Man, I had a lot of extra string left over. That is a lot. Hold on. Ta-da. That's one part. Onto the floor it goes. Alright. Where's my awl? There it is. Cool. Alright. Sweet. Cool. So now that I'll tie this off, that'll be the gravity done and ready to go for this week. And then I got one more racket to do tonight, and that, like I said in the first stream, which I had to end because of technical difficulties, but we made it to this one. That'll be a Pure Aero 98 with Slinko Hyper G Soft to see if I can get the full sessions in. Drop. Thank you. My clamp was not wanting to work properly. Cool. May not have been able to see that. That was the extra string that I had left over. Alright. Gravity tour is done.
CB, quick racket question. Between the regular Pure Drive and the E-Zone 100, which one has the higher launch angle?
I would say between the two, if we're comparing the new version, CB, I would argue it is probably the Pure Drive over the E-Zone. And the reason I say that is because the E-Zone 100 and just the E-Zone line, just from what I've seen and noticed with the new versions, they did tend to space the middle strings, just the few ones that are in the middle, not just the first two, but overall the middle strings do tend to be a little bit more connected or a little bit more dense. So to me, that is also going to just kind of decrease the launch angle a little bit because it's going to focus a little bit more to the power side. I feel like the Pure Drive, with having a little bit more of a extended spacing between the strings itself, that is going to help give it a little bit of a higher launch angle compared to the E-Zone 100. So I would say the Pure Drive to answer your question, but both are going to be very similar rackets, very easy to play interchangeably. But if you're wanting to focus on a little bit more launch and a little bit more spin, maybe even a little bit more spin, then I think the Pure Drive would probably be the one to go to, as long as your arm can handle it, because I do believe the Pure Drive is also a little bit stiffer than the E-Zone is, so you have to be a little bit careful there and to make sure that you don't hurt yourself when you actually go about playing with either of them. But thank you for the question. I appreciate it. And hopefully I answered it well enough for you. Come on, machine. Don't fall apart on me now. Nope, one more. There we go. You know, this is another thing I've noticed, especially with working where I work, restringing rackets, and just in the store. Almost any single time, I'd say probably within like the last 3 to 4 months, that a Pure Aero has come into that store to get restrung. 99.9 99% of the time is this racket, the Pure Aero 98. There is not a normal Pure Aero. There is not a Pure Aero Team. There's not a Pure Aero Light. It is just the Pure Aero 98. This thing is everywhere. And so that's where it's like, man, the Carlos effect for rackets, and Babolat knows this, is very real. And it is insane how much he has been able to really showcase the Pure Aero 98, previously the Pure Aero VS, and just make it probably one of, if not Babolat's best selling or most selling rackets ever. Because before Carlos came around, the Pure Aero VS or anything like it really didn't have much of a name for itself. And then he showed up, started winning, kicking everyone's butts, and now everyone's like, I want that racket. I mean, I've literally had two guys that I work with, two guys that I work with, both switched to the Pure Aero 98, and they both bought 3 of them in their specific grip size. They liked it that much. And it's just like, jeez, that racket is doing wonders for them. And when they do come out with a new version of the Pure Aero, I hope they don't ruin it and have to go back to the drawing board, because that would suck for them. What is happening to this reel? No. Why is this happening? See, I got this reel secondhand from a friend of mine that got it secondhand from a friend of his. So I got it like third hand. I'm the third hand with it. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with it right now, because it looks like it's all tangled on the inside. And I really don't want to have to untangle this thing just to string with it. That would not be fun. But it's going haywire in there. Let's see. If I can get some of it out to where I don't have to, I might be able to get through. Come on. Let's find out. Have I got my mains yet? I don't think I have got my mains yet, but we'll see. This is how you know this isn't scripted. Everything is just straight live, because if this was scripted, this problem would not be happening right now. I would have already had my strings cut, and I would have already been going. Bruh. This is just bad. What happened to this thing? Alright, well, I might not be using Hyper-G Soft anytime soon. At least from this reel. I might be able to find or get a pack of it, but we'll see. Yeah. I think this might be a little bit of a lost cause for tonight. Well, that sucks. But, happens. So, that just means I need help picking out a string to put in this racket. I have ideas. I have polyesters. I have multi-filaments. I have synthetic gut. Please don't give me synthetic gut. And then I also have natural gut. So, if you want to build me a racket setup or a string setup for the Pure Aero 98, let me know in the comments right now, so that way I can start working it in. I have, like I said, I have polyester strings, I have multi-filaments, I can do hybrids, I can do full beds. So let me know what you think. And I do also have natural gut if we want to go there. we can. What do we think? What do we think would do well in a Pure Aero 98? And then, if whatever we end up and decide upon, we'll use that in the Pure Aero 98, and who knows? Maybe I'll even make a video being like, all right, I tested the recommended string setup from my live stream, and then we'll do a review on how it did. We'll see. But I need to know, what should I put in this racket right now? You have about 2 minutes to decide before I'm like, all right, I just have to pick something and go from there. So, what do we think? Hey, what do we think? While you do that, and while you think about that, I'm still going to try and unravel this Hyper G Soft, because this is not cool. I cannot leave this as it is. That is awful. I just don't want to have to unroll the whole thing, man. That would not be fun. Let's try this. Rob, hey bro, any suggestions on how to stop obsessing over demoing rackets? I feel like my progress is declining due to me demoing so much. Rob, I had the exact same thing happen to me so many times. So, here's what I have to say about that, because I could talk about this for a while. The big thing when you're demoing rackets is the fact that, yes, you're trying to find something that works best for your game. You're trying to find something that suits you, and you want to make sure that you do make the correct choice. And that is valid. That is a completely reasonable thing to do. I did it as well. The thing about what happens when it comes to demoing too much is that, as you're feeling, Rob, as you begin to demo more and more, you start to realize, oh, there's certain things I like here, there's certain things I don't like there, and it's just a bunch of different rackets. You're trying a bunch of different things, and you're never sticking to one thing consistently. And that's kind of where I was when I was trying to figure out what rackets should I get before I ended up just sticking and making a decision to get my Percept 100Ds. And the thing that helped me the most was like, okay, I know I'm probably not going to stick with this racket for the rest of my life. That is pretty much almost a guarantee from what I am seeing. So, because of that, because I know my playstyle is going to change, I'm going to evolve as a player. I'm going to actually have just different preferences as I get more and more into playing, as I just change as a player and my body changes as well. I just need to pick something that I would say has more positives, or I have felt has more positives for me personally right now than negatives. And then you just have to make the one decision to then use that as your starting point and your basis point. I would say, just because this is the way I did it, I purchased my Percepts, and I honestly had not buyer's remorse. I just had like the sense of relief and satisfaction, like, okay, knowing like, okay, great, it's finally over. I am just going to do this and stick with it at least for a season, 2 seasons, however long you want to give it. And then that way you can start really honing in on the one racket you liked and figuring out how your game is improving with that racket specifically. And then you can start potentially adding in string to actually affect and change that. Because as long as you have the base racket to where you like pretty much everything about it, yeah, sure, there's a little bit of things here and there, but you might just be able to tweak that with lead tape, especially if it's a balance issue. Then by just sticking to one racket, switching to it, and staying,
you can then start to work a lot more of the kinks and nuances out of your game because you have just the much more familiar and you have your baseline of racket covered. So I would say you've demoed a lot. You probably have very, very well thought out ideas, Rob, about what rackets you like the most, what you didn't like. And I would say it's probably just best for you at this point, since you've demoed so many, to just pick the one that you thought felt the best so far and just go with it, and going into it knowing this is not going to be your forever racket. You don't have to just buy it and then immediately in the next 2 months get a new one. I'm just saying buy it, play with it, max out the level that you can get to with that racket that you're currently with. And then after you felt like you've been able to accomplish that, then start the demo process over again if you want to. You may end up finding that you purchase the racket going in with this mindset of like, oh, I know this isn't going to be my forever racket, but I'm still going to get it just because I really enjoyed how it played. And that's great. But then you find out a little bit later, like, oh, this was actually a lot better. I just needed a better string in it than what I had when I demoed. And that's where you can have a lot of an easier time. And it's a lot easier and cheaper to change strings than it is to change rackets. So if you can find the way to stick with a racket, and I would say just pick the one that you like the best, then it's a lot easier to adjust string-wise and weight-wise, anything from there. Let's see. USTA 3.0, 33 male, 510, curl iron, 2 Wilson Blade 98, 16 by 19 V8s, 2 Wilson Ultras 100, 16 by 19 V4s. I only bought the blades because they're gloss, but stock, old owner. Okay. But the blades are too demanding and the Ultras are too powerful, though. Okay. What string are you using in those rackets, Rob? Because that might just be the issue there, is that especially with the Ultras, if there's too much power, it might just be the string you're using or the tension. But what are you using currently? I think I actually got it decent. I think I actually got this decently enough. I might be able to use this now. Hold on. Let me measure out. Let me see real quick. In the blades, Wilson Sensation, full bed at 53. Okay. What about the Ultras, Rob? Put my glasses back on so I can read. Let's see. 2. Okay. Alright, I got my mains for the Pure Aero 98. Hyper G Soft is staying around for now. Now I gotta see if I can do my crosses, though. That is the big thing. Wilson Ultra's hybrid of ALU power in the main 53 and Sensation in the crosses also at 53. Okay. Why don't you just use a full racket of ALU power, Rob? Or is full poly too hard on your arm? Can I do it? 1, 2. I think we got it. We got it. All right, I can do Hyper G Soft in the racket. I untangled it enough to make it work. So yeah. Cool. Okay, so I think full poly, especially ALU, is too harsh. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure that if you had tried that, well, let me phrase it. If you had not tried that, I wanted to at least give the option. But if a full bed of ALU power is too harsh,
then yeah, it might be time to switch rackets. What racket are you considering going to? Whether, because you said you've been demoing so much, what have been like your top 2 or your top 3? Either or. I think full paw. Okay, that's the same comment. And while Rob is thinking about that, I'm glad that this actually worked out to where I got both, where I was able to actually figure out and rework the reel enough to where I can actually use this. Cool. Hello? I'm sorry, I have no clue how in the world or what in the world your name is. Hi, I appreciate you commenting. Thanks for being here. I have no clue what those characters mean, or even what language that is. I have a guess, but I have no clue. Thank you for being here, though. My current demo order is Tech Fiber T-Fi 305S, Pure Drive 98, and Wilson Ultra 99 Pro. That is quite the spread, Rob. Again, what are you thinking has... What is going on with my... Oh, that's okay. Well, Rob, of the spread you have, what are you thinking? It is automatic... Is it an automatic string machine? No. It is not an automatic string machine. This is completely manual. I know that some people... I've seen video of one automatic string machine to where the machine does it fully itself. Oh, the grip. But I do not have that. All the stringing I do is all man-made, manual labor done. If you can call this manual labor. But no, not automatic. Ah, I'm unsure they haven't arrived. Okay, Rob. I said, which ones have you tried that you liked the best so far, man? Why are you telling me that these are just on the way, bro? Come on. What have you tried so far with your demos that is confuzzling you in terms of making your decision? And what have you liked the most so far? I also have a Headspeed MP Legend, Wilson Ultra 100 V5, and Slinko Whiteout V2 on the way too. Well, so far, Rob, why do you have that many rackets out at once? Of course you're confused. That's too many, bro. I take out rackets all the time, and I wouldn't even take out 6. That's a lot, man. And that's almost way too hard to really get a good feel for any of them if you only have, say, like an hour to an hour and a half or even 2 hours on court. That's tough, man. I can see why you'd be confused. Headspeed 2024, I really like the feel on that one. One order is coming from Tennis Warehouse and the other from Tennis Express. My coach is going to kill. Well, I mean, Coach might have a point if he's like, dude, this is not going to help you. But let's see. So, you like the Speed MP. So would you say the Speed MP is probably the one, Rob, that you would have fallen into the most, or that you've liked the most? Feel, you liked. I already know you like the feel of the Speed MP, but that overall, would you say that racket
did everything you wanted pretty well or pretty good, and there was maybe like one small downfall to it. Ooh. Mike, I don't think I've seen you comment before. Hello, Mike. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. I'm about to read what you have to say after I tension this mane. Alright, cool. Alright, Mike.
I'm about to string my vocals C10 Pro with Slinko Heaven Strings, Vanquish 17 gauge. Wondering if you've tried these strings, and if so, how did you like them?
Okay. Hi, Mike. Vanquish, before I say what I think, what string do you usually use in your Vocals C10 Pro? Because if you are usually using multi-filaments, this is a good comparison. If you do not usually use multi-filaments, then I need to know what you used before, so that way I can better help you understand what you're about to feel.
Rob, couldn't keep the ball in with the head speed MP. I just really like the feel. The ball kept sailing on me a bit.
Rob, do you know what string was in the Speed MP? Or like at least have a general idea of whether or not it was a polyester, a multi-filament, or a synthetic gut? Because that can really change the feeling of the racket. And I know you said that with the Ultra, a full bed of AOU power you feel would be too harsh. But in the Speed, which is a little bit of a easier on the arm racket than the Ultra is, I would say that you might be have a little bit of an easier time getting away with that, getting away with a full bed of poly in the Speed than the Ultra itself. But if you were using a full racket of polyester in the Speed, and you were still sailing the ball, that's a different story. I'm going to assume head links. Okay, head links or head... I know I'm getting specific, but I'm just trying to get as much information as I can. Head links or head links tour? Because there's a big difference between those two. If you can remember, what color was it? Because the color can usually sometimes differentiate the two. Tour, definitely tour. Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you for clarifying. So if Headlink's Tour is what was in the Speed, and let's see. Mike, I'll be right with your question here in a second. So if Link's Tour is what was in there, and you couldn't keep the ball in with Link's Tour. Rob, of the rackets that you're getting, hold on. You have the Speed MP Legend, the Ultra, and the Whiteout. You have the T-Fight, the Drive 98, and the Ultra Pro. Okay. What my assumption is going to be is that I think, Rob, with the rackets you have on the demo way, the one that I think might stand out is going to be the Whiteout or the Ultra 100 V5. Now, the reason I say those two in specific, the Whiteout is going to be very similar to your blades. And I'm just going to say that point blank because they are about the same static weight, they have the same head size, they're very similar rackets. The Whiteout is going to be a little bit more helpful in terms of generating the power for you, though, compared to that blade itself. Of course, this is dependent upon the string that they put in, but
overall, I would say that's probably a safe general statement for me to make. As well as, to me, the whiteout is also going to be a little bit easier on your arm. So that's why I think the whiteout is going to stand out to you in terms of one that may be a good way for you to go. Now, the reason I said the Ultra 100 V5 is also one of note is because what Wilson did with the new regular Ultra is the fact that they did decrease the amount of space between the main strings, so they are a little bit more condensed, a little bit more packed together, and that is also going to help with give you some of the control that you felt was a little bit that you had you had not enough of from your current Ultra. So I think those two are going to be what I would assume, just from the short conversation we have had here, I would assume those two would probably be the front runners. I think you're going to feel that the Technofiber, if you thought the blades were too demanding, I think you're going to feel the Technofiber is even more demanding, just because of it being the 18x19. And that's even less helpful than the blades are. So that I would say to be mindful of. The Ultra Pro, even though it's the 99 head size, I think you might go to sail the ball a little bit more, just because it has the more open string pattern, being a 16x18. So you'll definitely get more spin, but it's something to watch out. It's something to keep in mind as you demo it. The speed, you like the feel, so you're pretty much just trying the new gen to see if they change much. I don't think they really did in terms of how different it's going to play. I think it's just a feel change for the most part, so I'd say that one you're probably safe to play with, but that's what I would say so far from knowing what we have talked about so far.
Coach thinks you should keep the blades and the Ultra. Couldn't keep. Okay. All right, Rob. Yes, the whiteouts. The reason I say it's probably a little bit easier on your arm, yes, is because it's foam filled. The blade, I don't believe is, so that's why I say the whiteout is probably going to be a little bit easier on you and not be as demanding, but it's still going to be very, very similar because of the other specs that the whiteout has been made with. Now, Mike. I usually use multis like X1 biphase. Okay. Cool.
So, Mike, with you and the C10 Pro and Vanquish, I think you're going to get a similar feel to when you actually are using biphase or any other multi like that. The big thing I would say is that Vanquish, I believe, is going to be a little bit less powerful and a little bit less feel, but from what I've heard, Vanquish is also a little bit more durable because of, I believe it has a little bit of an extra coating on it compared to something like biphase. So that's why it is going to just be a different feel. If you like the feel of biphase and all those, I'd say Vanquish is still good to try, just because that way you can see. But I would say Vanquish is going to be more durable, not as much feel to it though as your traditional biphase would have. So that's what I would say to that. But if you're used to multi-filaments and that's what you typically play with, I don't think you'll have a problem adjusting to it. It's just going to be a different feel, so that way you can see what you prefer and whether or not you just want to stick with biphase. I'm going to assume how to say this, and if I say it wrong, please correct me.
Kanako, which nylon string do you recommend for
Yonex E-Zone? If you're using nylon, which I always equate nylon to synthetic gut, because that's pretty much
how I was taught that they are interchangeable. So if you are Kanako, if that is how you are referencing it, I would say that any nylon will be fine. I really have never felt too much of a difference between them when I play with them. My personal favorite, if I had to choose one, would be the head synthetic gut. That would probably be the one that I would say I've used the most out of all of the nylons or synthetic guts, so I would just probably lean towards that. But if you still want to use Yonex' own nylon or synthetic gut, which is Yonex Dynawire, then I feel like you would be fine there too. It's not going to be that big of a difference or that big of a deal in my opinion. So you could pretty much use whichever one and just mess around with tension from there. Rob, thoughts on extended length rackets? Don't. If you're having trouble keeping the ball in with the normal length rackets, the extended length rackets with the extra length, they do tend to also be a little bit more powerful. So it's just going to kind of further increase the spray that you're getting off of the rackets right now. So I would say until you have solidly picked one racket to go with and you have worked with it, you figured out your specific game, your specific style with that one racket, I probably wouldn't even touch or go near extended length. Mike, okay, thanks. I would rather more field and durability because I string my own racket so I can save a little cash that way. Mike, okay, I would rather more field and durability because I string my rackets so I can save a little cash. Hey, I like that answer, Mike. That was one of the reasons why I got my own machine too, because I like stringing and I like saving cash as well. I don't want to be paying the stringing service all the time if I can just do it myself. Plus, it's a lot more convenient that way too. I don't have to wait as long because I can just do it. Kanako, head velocity MOT would be good for E-zone. Yeah, velocity would do well. It is going to be more power in a power racket, so you might want to string it a little bit tighter than what you would normally think, just because that is going. If you don't go a little bit tighter, you're just going to potentially be hitting the ball out a lot more because you have a lot of power from the E-zone naturally, and then velocity is just going to kind of enhance that or just give you even more power than what you already had. So depending upon what tension you use normally, you may want to consider going up a little bit in tension, but without knowing what you use, I won't say to do that. I would just say velocity will be a very good string to help make sure that you do not get tennis elbow, and it will help increase the amount of power that you're going to get out of the E-zone itself. So that is what I will say about that. Rob, I saw a player using a two-handed forehand today. Insane. Yes, that is always insane. I know one guy that is how he grew up learning how to play. He was probably one of the most backwards guys I ever played against or ever saw playing. He had a two-handed forehand and a one-handed backhand. When I first saw that, I was like, hold on. My 16-year-old brain couldn't fathom that. And so I got really confused real quick. And I was like, how is this possible? And then as I played with him more, him and I became much better friends. We just played more and more with each other. I was like, okay, I get it. I can see the vision now. I can see how this works. But it's still crazy every time you see it and you're not expecting it. It's like, whoa, that just happened. Come on, string.
There we go.
He was using an extended length frame. It was pretty neat look.
Yeah, I could see it, but for where you're at right now, Rob, push the extended out of your mind. That does not exist right now. You need to get settled and fixed on a normal length racket, and then you can maybe worry about those later on. This is a downside to this machine. If I ever have to tie up on my rackets, this piece that the racket usually sits on is just in the way, so now it's just hard for me to get the actual string up there without running the risk of unclamping, and it's not good. Come on. Go. Yes. Come on. Cool. Now that crisis is averted, and I don't have to restart because I accidentally undid my clamp. Where did my cutters go?
What? Hold on. Where? There they are. Okay, cool.
Let's see.
What are you talking about? Wilson Ultra 100 V5 and Slinko YW. Haha, you got him, man.
Yeah. Those of your demos, Rob, those are the two I think are probably going to stand out the most. And yeah, I've gave my reasons. You can always just rewatch the video and rewatch the replay after we finish here, because it should post to YouTube on its own, and then that way it's always up here in case you ever have questions again. Let's see. Kanoko, I have a 10-year-old kid and tension 48 with NXT and changing to velocity. Should be higher, like 50. Will be safe for my son. Yeah. Yeah, Kanoko, if your kid is 10 and they're using 48 pounds with NXT right now and you want them to try velocity at 50, that would be fine. That's not going to kill their arm or anything. It's not going to really hurt them. I would say, since they're already using a multi-filament, if you just want them to try velocity and you don't want it to, and you just want to see which string works best for their game, just try velocity at 48 pounds like you do and like you have NXT, and then that way they're only trying the string. They don't have other factors playing all at once, because that can sometimes be too confusing, because you don't necessarily know if something worked. You won't know necessarily what exactly worked best, or if something doesn't work, then you won't know exactly what's causing the problem that you're facing now. So if you want them to try velocity, just keep it the same tension as you put it in with NXT. Or if you want to try something different, just put NXT up by about 2 pounds. You're already towards the lower end of the tension range regardless if you're using the regular EZone 98, which I believe you are. For Yonex EZone. If you're not using the EZone, depending on the tension range for your kid's racket, I would say for right now, just do velocity at 48 pounds just to see if they like the string. If they don't, just stick with NXT. And if they do like it, velocity at 48, then maybe you can try velocity at 50
depending upon what is recommended for that racket and just how your kid feels, because that's the most important thing. Like you were worried about, we want it to be safe for them, but I think with those strings it'll be fine either way. I would just stick with 48 for the first time you try velocity, because that's what your child is used to, and then move next to maybe a different tension if the child still wants to experiment with a few other things. Rob, of course, glad to help. Glad you're here and of course, let me know how it goes as you try out the rackets. Mike, this is the which version is this? This is Gamma Progression 2 is the name of my tabletop machine. The fact that you're still going on the Actelion, hey, there's nothing wrong with that as long as it still works, Mike. Konogo, you're welcome. I'm glad that I could help. Alright, cool. So, doing these talks and just like doing this live, I have a question that has come into my head. I've asked this question before on my live streams, which I don't know if any of you have been on before. If you have, thank you for coming to another one. If not, thank you for showing up for the first time. But would it be helpful if I started doing it to where on the days that I do not have work or something going on, would it be helpful for me to essentially block out time and say, like, I have an invitation to where people like you or you can come and just block off, say, like 30 minutes, 15, 30, 45, or even an hour of time with me to go over string questions, racket questions, or gear questions you may have. Would that be something that you would be interested in? People you know might be interested in? Do you think I should start doing that? Essentially being consulting or a racket or string consultations, and then that way, what I'm thinking is it would be over Zoom, so that way I can actually see you. We can actually talk to each other rather than you just kind of commenting, and then we're hoping that I see it, as well as we're trying to figure out how this works between me talking, you commenting, and then going back and forth. Because what I'm thinking it would be over a Zoom call, and I would host it, so that way we have plenty of time, and then we can talk about whatever we need to for the allotted time. And then that way I can just actually see you, get to know you, and we can just have a fun chat. I've done one of these before for another gentleman that has been on these lives before, and I believe he still watches. I believe he still watches me on Instagram, and he was from Chile. And Matthias, if you're watching, shout out to you. You were the very first one I ever did online. I hope you're doing good, bro. But if not, I hope you're doing good. That's all I can say. But if that would be something of interest, let me know. I've been curious about it because I've thought about doing it for a while, as anyone who would come to some sort of previous streams would say, or would know. And I just was curious, because if I do it, I want to do it right. I don't want it to just be something that's like, oh yeah, I do technically do that, and then it's bad. I want this to be something that's good. Mike, Mike, you'd be in for it. Thank you for letting me know. Anyone else? All right. First off, hold on. Before that, where is everyone from? You don't have to give me like exact locations, but give me like country-wise. And then if you're also in the U.S., give me like time zone you're in, because that was something that on the last stream, the last full stream, I'll say, that was something I noticed, was that I have a lot of different time zones and a lot of different countries that will watch me. So I want to make sure that if this works, that we all have kind of like a general idea of what time this should be done around, or like what the time would be based off where I am, where you are, kind of figure that out. Kanako sure sounds good. Mike is in Oklahoma. Kanako is in New York. Am I saying that right? If I've been saying that wrong the whole time, please correct me. I don't want to be saying that wrong. I think it's pronounced how I'm saying it. But if I'm wrong, please roast me. I don't want to be saying that incorrectly. But yeah, okay. So Oklahoma, New York. Okay, cool. So we got some U.S. representation. I like it. As you probably could have guessed, I'm also in the U.S. Yes, said it perfectly. Nice. Cool. All right. Ow. That hurt. Oh well. Next. Cool. So, I will get working on seeing about making this happen. And then if it does work out to where I can figure it out, then I would say we probably start with about 30-minute increments, or like 30-minute time slots, just because I want to respect your time as well as mine. And I think we could probably cover much of what is needed in those 30 minutes. But in order for me to do that, and for you to know, I will say that you probably do need to go ahead and hit the subscribe button onto the channel, so that way you can always be notified about when I do post anything. Because if I am able to get this set up, then I will probably make a post about it on the channel and then say, hey, this is the link to set up your meeting with me, and we can go from there. Because if this works, and I feel like it will, just because I am confident in my ability after working at the store that I do for many, many years, as well as just from the proof of doing these consultations essentially over this live stream. I feel like this would be a good thing to do. And eventually, I feel like if it works out to where everything is good and I get some amazing feedback from all of you that I am able to help, then I think eventually I might also charge to do the consultation. So if I am able to get it to work and you want to get one for free, because I will do the very first few, or just quite a few for free in the beginning, just because I want to make sure everything is all set and squared away. Then I'll be like, okay, yes, we get to have a fun time. We get to talk to each other, see each other, talk about tennis, have fun, and then eventually, if it works out, because I'm always looking for feedback, whether it be on my YouTube videos, whether it be for actually this that I'm about to start doing. If I can make it work, then I want to make sure that everything is taken care of properly. We can have a back and forth dialogue. And I just want to be able to make sure that everything is done to the highest quality that it can be. Because I respect you, and I respect your time, and I respect your attention. But with that being said, subscribe, so that way you can be notified if I can figure out how to make it work, and we can go from there. We can book a time, and like I said, we're gonna have a great time with it. Ta-da. Ta-da. Yeah. Cool. Almost done with this racket. Finally, the pure Arrow 98 that took way too long because I couldn't untangle a string reel. Took too long. Alright, cool. Ugh, come on. Alright. So, before we go, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns about anything going on tennis-wise? Tennis-related, tennis gear? Yes, Mike. Yes, it is. I fully agree with you. Especially if you get especially with this racket being a 16 by 20, or if you get an 18 by 20 and you just barely measured wrong, so you have to use your starting clamp as a jumper cable to try and just get the extra length. It's just like, bro, I do not want to be doing that. Not cool. Way more work than it needs to be. But hey, we get it through, we get it done. We're gonna have a great time playing with this. Alright, cool. And then of course the clamp is in the way. Not cool. Even though I'm the one that put it there. But yeah. We get through it, we get done, we tie our knot, and then we get to go play tennis. At some point. Probably Tuesday. Alright. Come on. There we go. Perfect. Where's this? Cool. Ugh. Cool. That's that. That is a... Man, I pulled way too much extra off of this reel, even though I had the 20 crosses. This is crazy. Here, I'll put it... This is a lot. This is a lot left over. Yeah, Mike. It always sucks. It always sucks whenever you have to do that. It's not fun. You get down to the very bottom. You're like, all right, I'm almost done. And then you realize you don't have enough string. You're like, no. So you have to redo the whole. You have to redo it all. It's just not. It's not a good time. We can laugh about it now, but in the moment, it's just like, oh no. Let's see. Kanako, which multi-filament string is lasting? Are you just asking which one's durable or which one like holds its life? Can you please clarify a little bit more just so I can fully answer the question? Let's see. Coop, come on. There we go. Have to do it. Yes, durable. Okay.
So durability wise for multifilaments, most of them are going to be about the same, Kanako. But if you are wanting one that's going to be a little bit more durable, there is what is it? Technofiber Triax, I feel, is going to be a little bit more durable just because that is the core of it is a polyester core instead of being a traditional multifilament, so it's a little bit more durable. If you want a full multifilament that's going to be more like the NXT that your kid is using now, then I would look more towards maybe the multifilament Dunlop Silk, just because that is a 1.32 millimeter gauge if you get the 16 gauge version of it, which is arguably the most durable one. So I would say that is probably going to be a very durable string and still similar enough to NXT to where your kid could still use it. I do believe, however, there is a multifilament. It's from Vocal. I believe it's called Power Fiber 2 or just Power Fiber. I think they make that in a 15L or a 1.35 millimeter. So that, I believe, would arguably be the most durable one. But that's also going to be, I probably would not go that far until you've at least tried Triax or even Dunlop Silk. I personally am not a big fan of Dunlop Silk to play with myself just because I don't necessarily like the feel of it. But if you're looking for durability, then I think Dunlop Silk would probably outlast a little bit more than some of the others. So that's what I would say there. But Triax is going to feel a little bit more like a polyester. It is going to be a little bit harder on his arm, on the kid's arm. So if the child has had arm issues or has had tennis elbow or something like that, I'd probably stay away from Triax. Just keep using Sensation or Velocity. Either one, not Sensation. You keep using NXT or Velocity as he has been, and then just kind of go from there and use that until his body is ready and he's old enough to move into a polyester just to be more durable. But that polyester comes much later. I personally don't like kids using polyester until they're at least 13, 14. That's just me personally, just because I've seen it happen too many times where kids start poly too early and it just leads to problems like arm issues, wrist issues, or tennis elbow. So I don't like giving them poly very early. Some people will. I would just say it's better to just stay with multifilaments if you're wanting it to be durable. Even though you want it to be durable, it's just better for them to be in a multi than it is to go poly. But that's my personal opinion. Try the Vocal Power Fiber in 17 feels like butter. Okay. Now that's 17 gauge though, Mike. We're talking 15L. That might be like cold butter. I don't know. I didn't play with it in the 15L. What did I try it in? I think I tried it in the 16 gauge. But yeah, it's different. I'm curious about it. If Kanako, if you do decide to try it, definitely let us know so that way we can figure out what you thought about it. But yeah, I would say that the Vocal Power Fiber 2, it is there. It is there for probably the most durable option if you want to go that route, Kanako. Cool. So, Racket's done. The other Racket's done. It's hiding back there if you can see the purple grip behind me. So that's all I got for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the Stringing Sunday. If there is anything else, I can stay around for another few minutes before the stream ends because my camera and stuff is getting ready to die. But hey, that's okay. So if there's any more questions, comments, concerns, please speak now in the comments or forever hold your thoughts and fingers tapping until the next time. But I'll stay around for another minute or two, see if there's anything that's going on. If not, I hope you have a great week going forward. Thank you for spending this time with me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, if there's anything else that I can help with, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave comments so that way I can try and find them. It does start to get hard. It does start to get hard, especially just with comments on older videos, just because they can sometimes get lost and I may not see them. But I'll work. I'll work to try and find it. All right. Kanaka, okay, thank you so much. Good to hear that velocity is safe for kids. Yeah, velocity, very safe for kids. I've given it to many, many junior players. It is very okay, very good. Brody approved. And then Mike, I'm glad you found the channel too, buddy. And I hope that means that you did subscribe. So like I said, we can just get this information out there even further to the people that, from the people that have it to the people that need it. There's a lot of information in the tennis community that sometimes isn't necessarily the best. So I do my best to make sure that I can combat that and actually we can have a conversation about what's actually going on. Yeah, Mike. Glad to hear it. Thank you so much. Like I said, I don't remember if it was in this stream or the first stream that got cut off. Kanako, have a good evening as well. I hope everything goes well for you this coming week. But Mike, I don't remember if it was in this stream or the first one that I had to cut short because of technical difficulties, or that was earlier this night. But I was like, I'm hoping to hit 2,000 by my birthday, which is coming up here in October. So we're hoping. I'm close. I'm very close, but we're still hoping. So the subscription definitely does mean a lot to me, and thank you, Mike. All right. Turns 30. Are you saying I'm going to turn 30? Is it Leon? Leon? Or Lang? Are you asking if I'm going to turn 30? Because if that's the question, so you think I'm 29? Anyone else got a guess on how old I am? I'm curious now. I've played this game before with people that have come into the store, but I'm curious now. How old does the internet think I am right now with my birthday coming up next month? I'm curious. Okay. I have one that's guessing. We got one that's guessing 35. Kanako's guessing 33. Mike, what are we thinking? Come on. I want him to answer just to see what it is. Cole, we're guessing 36, okay. So I'm in my Mike 29. Okay. So any higher bid, or we sold at 36? I like where this is going. Is 36 the highest number? We got 20, we got 29, we got 30, we got 31, we got 32, we got 33, we got 36 going once. We got 36 going twice. Is there anyone that is going to say 37 or higher? Anyone? Is there no gray in my hair for that to happen? The beard is deceiving. The beard has been deceiving. It's been deceiving since I figured out I could grow a beard. All right. Let's see. Well, I'll give it about another like 30 seconds for people to come in with their final guess. The highest number so far still is 36. The lowest is 29. Is anyone going to be right? Let's find out. And Mike, the funny thing is, this is not the longest the beard has been. This is very short. The beard used to be like down to here. It was long. And that's when I got the highest number I've ever been told, and I got guessed in my mid 40s when I had the longer beard. That's how old they thought I was. All right, cool. So the auction has ended. Leon, I'm going to assume that's how I say it. If I said it wrong, please correct me before we go so I can say it right next time. Dude, I can't even grow a beard. I'm jealous. All right, so Cole is the one that the age was sold to with 36. The final answer as to how old I actually am. The closest person was actually, I believe it was Mike, who said 29. So, let me make sure. 30, 35, 33, 36, 29. Yeah, so Mike was closest with 29. The actual answer for how old I am is, at this current moment, I'm 23. And I will be turning 24 in October. Mike, your comment about the beard being deceiving is very true. I figured out I could grow this during 2020 when I was just at home doing nothing because the whole world was doing nothing for the most part. And then I just kind of let it go and really just see what came out of it. And then that is how the beard came to be, and I've kind of kept it ever since. I'll still shave it fully, clean off every so often. Yes. Yes, I was. But I'll still shave the beard off every so often, and people will then be like, oh, okay, you actually look like you're 16. I'm like, yeah, well, that's kind of why the beard stays around, because I don't need to be considered 16. But yes, I was born in 2001. October is when my birthday is. So that is why I'm hoping to hit 2000 by the time it comes around and I turn 24. I feel like that'd be very cool. And yeah. Congratulations to Mike being the closest in terms of the guess. But yes, Leon, I was born in 2001. Almost no one actually believes me. And then I show them my actual ID and they're like, wow. Kanako, thank you for the comment. I have gotten that one quite a bit, especially growing up. Yeah, well, I wasn't wrong. He was the closest, but I just didn't say by how far. All right. Cool. All right, cool. So now that the age mystery has been solved about me, like I said, my my camera that is recording this, or what I'm recording this on, is about to die. So I need to go charge that before I go head to the gym. Thank you all again for being here. Mike, Kanako, Leon, Cole, and there was someone else that commented earlier. I'm trying to remember exactly. Rob, yes, and Rob, as well as the CB and the other person that commented, which I did not know the language that their name was in. Thank you all for being here again. It means the world. And I hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoyed the auction that we had trying to guess how old I was. Just click the sub button, follow. Thank you, Leon. Appreciate it. All right. With that being said, I've Midwestern goodbye my way with doing this live stream for a bit. If there are no final questions, I will stay here until it says that the stream has been going for 91 minutes and 30 seconds. And then after that, I am actually turning this off so we can all get back to our actual lives. Okay? Fair? Kanako, thank you. See you. Hope to see you at the next live stream. We'll figure out when that's going to be. Anyone else? Leon, see ya next time. Mike, fair enough. I agree. All right. Final seconds. All right, ladies and gents. That is going to be it from me for the night. Cole, I appreciate the comment. Glad I'm seen like a nice guy. Maybe. I hope. That's all I can do. I just got to be me. All right. I'm done talking. I'm done using and keeping your time here. We all got important stuff we need to do. So, that being said, as always, take care.